All right, so now the whole process to factoring this quadratic 2x squared minus 15x minus 27. So when we had multiplied out those different binomials, what we ended up with a lot was the first term and the last term in opposite boxes. And what we also know was what was in these two boxes needed to add up to the middle term. So we know that we have two terms that need to add to negative 15x. So the trick to this is a process I can't really tell you, except for what the two terms that they need to add to also need to multiply to 2 times negative 27. So 2x squared times negative 27 is going to give us negative 54x squared. So what we need are two numbers that multiply to give us negative 54 and add together to give us negative 15. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and factor 54. I'm not going to worry about the negative at the moment. So 1 and 54, 2 and 27. Got to see what else this is divisible by. 54 divided by 3 is 18. It's not divisible by 4 or 5. And then 54 divided by 6 is 9. Okay, so I have my list of factors. These are all the numbers that are going to multiply together to give me 54. I also need them to add to negative 15. So if they multiply to give me a negative, either the small number or the large number is going to be negative. If they add to a negative, then it's going to be the larger number that's negative. So I'm going to go ahead and make all of those negative. So the pair, if I go through these, 1 plus negative 54 is negative 53. 2 plus negative 27 is negative 25. 3 plus negative 18 is negative 15. So this is the pair that I want. 3 and negative 18. So, sorry, got lost for a second. I'm going to put those with x's. So this is going to be 3x and negative 18x. That's where I get that from. So I'm going to put that, 3x, negative 18x. And now that I have that box filled out, that's when I'm going to do what I did on the last video, is factor out a greatest common factor. So I have 2x squared, negative 18x. These can both, I can divide an x out of both of them, and also a 2. So I'm going to take 2x out this side, factor out I should say. 2x times x gives me 2x squared, so that's going to be x. X times 3 is going to give me 3x. And this is where you got to be careful. 2x times negative 9, or negative 18 divided by 2 is going to give me negative 9. And always, always, always double check. Does negative 9 times 3 give you negative 27? And it does. So I have x minus 9 times 3x, times 2x plus 3. And that's how I factor. I'm going to show you the box and diamond method, which is pretty common as well. It's pretty much the same idea. It's just got an extra All right, so now I'm going to show you what is called the box and diamond method, which mathematically we're doing the exact same thing. This looks like a giant X. The reason we call it box and diamond is because a long time ago, when we used the textbook before Common Core came in, there was a diamond shape around this, but that's kind of a pain to do, so I'm not going to bother with it. So once again, I'm going to start with the first term, 3x squared, and the last term in opposite boxes. And I'm going to take those two and I'm going to multiply them. So 3 times negative 40 is negative 120x squared. Then I'm going to take my middle term, negative 19x, and put that on the bottom. Now, what I'm looking for my side numbers is also what I'm looking for here. Two numbers that add up to negative 19 and multiply to 120. So I'm going to factor 120. So 1 and 120, 2 and 60, 3 and 40, 4 and 30, 5 and 24, 6 and 20, not divisible by 7, 8 and 15, 9, I don't think it's divisible by 9, no it's not, and then 10 and 12, and it's not divisible by 11. So once again, we have negatives here. If they multiply to a negative, one of our two factors has to be negative. If they add to a negative, it's going to be the bigger number. So whatever the sign is, if this is negative, whatever the sign of your middle term is, that's what your bigger number needs to be. If this is positive, bigger number's positive. This is negative, bigger number's negative. So I'm going to put a negative on all of those. And then I'm going to take a look here. I need the pair that adds up to negative 19. And that pair, those are too far apart, right here, 5 and negative 24. Those add up to negative 19. So I'm going to put 5x, negative 24x. Then I'm going to put those two in the empty boxes. So as you can see, hopefully the process that we just did is the same as we did on the previous page. We just have this little extra graphic organizer, which can be helpful for some people and confusing for others. So you just do what works for you. All right, so now greatest common factor, figure out what our factors on the outside are. 3x squared and 5x don't have a coefficient greatest common factor, they just have an x. So I'm going to factor out an x over here. 3x times x is 3x squared. You can also divide 24 by 3, so you're looking at the greatest common factor there. Negative 24 divided by 3 is going to give me negative 8. Or I should say, I'm sorry, negative 24x divided by 3x is going to give me negative 8. And then 5x divided by x gives me 5, or x times 5 is 5x. And then always double check. 5 times negative 8 is negative 40. So I have my factored form here, 3x plus 5 times x minus 8. And in case you're wondering, it doesn't matter what order you put these in. 3x plus 5 can be here or here. But you do need to make sure this stays together, 3x plus 5, and x minus 8 stays together. So that's another way to do it, and hopefully that helps.